Okay, it is Tuesday, October 8th, 2019. We'll call a meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning up, morning.
Minutes and reports received and filed.
We have September 2019 sheriff fees, recorder fees, and clerk fees filed, and September 2019 auditor's report filed.
And I'd also like to submit the RACS annual report.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Planning commission meeting tonight. We've got salary commission meeting in the morning. Solid Waste Management District Board meeting tomorrow afternoon. Home Builders Association Board meeting tomorrow afternoon. Home Builders Association General Membership meeting tomorrow night. Chiefs Association meeting Thursday night. Renegades Coffee Friday morning. Chamber Coffee Friday morning. Radio Friday morning. American Legion Post 5 Baseball is having a fundraiser Saturday night. If you can make it. Then we do have Heartland Port Authority Board meeting. Chris is on that board, but just for everybody's.
Is that
That's
is
Tuesday
that a
morning.
physical meeting or just sometimes we're having
Well,
like
it's on the
conference meetings,
calendar,
so, okay.
So I don't know for sure. But if there's nothing, it may be canceled by then too, if nothing comes up. like the
Didn't
last
you have
one
a
was.
closed, did you have a closed board meeting?
We had a closed board meeting, yeah,
Yeah.
here a week ago.
I'm assuming that's still just a general
Yeah.
meeting, so. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Tomorrow, I said salary commission tomorrow, but that's not the salary, that's
No,
a
it's-
meeting about budget.
Budget.
Budget, yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
So yesterday I had I had a conference call with our lobbyists, and they're working on some stuff to try to get some things clarified with our Ameren gas distribution, and so we're working to move that forward. Also had a pretrial meeting down at City Hall, and that seems to be going real well. A lot of parties involved, and so you guys are welcome to attend those at any time, but it really seems to be getting everybody on the same page there. So tomorrow, I'm having a little meeting with our economic development people, and we're talking about hosting a Missouri River Summit here this fall. And then Thursday, I'm meeting with DevNet and the assessors. And I think that's about it, so.
Okay.
Oh, next, is our salary meeting next week? I think it is, isn't it?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm gonna try to participate by conference call, so.
Okay, I got tonight, Mike Bernschetter's got a pork steak dinner out at Wardsville Lions. A budget Thursday, we've got a traffic and safety advisory meeting at 8. I've got, I assume neither one of you are going to the West Central Commissioners meeting in Concordia.
No, I probably won't make that one.
Okay, I had already regretted all.
Don't
Did you?
even send us emails on that anymore. I don't remember getting a letter. We used to get the invite.
Now we got email, it was emails.
We got to invite us more than a week ahead of time. Just saying, we're pretty busy schedule.
No, it's, I thought you were, everybody was getting those. But anyway, then Thursday, United Way Food and Shelter Committee meeting at 3. And then Sheriff Wheeler and Congressman Luke DeMar have fundraisers Thursday night. Friday, I won't be at the Renegades because I'm out selling Tootsie Rolls for the Knights of Columbus. So you can give me money, and I'll bring you Tootsie Rolls later.
Where are you gonna be at?
I'm gonna be at Central Bank. Those the bankers.
So we can just drive by and throw quarters at you?
Yeah. Or something. Preferably money.
That's Sunday,
Friday.
Friday.
I
Are they
do
doing
it.
that all weekend?
Yeah, they'll get you at church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Any other commission comments? Okay, then we're gonna move right ahead, although, we've got lots of students who had to get out of school. So if you wanna stay for the whole meeting, we can write you an excused absence. But otherwise, we will, if you'll come forward, we will present National 4-H Week proclamation. Do you want to introduce your student?
Part of 4-H is public speaking, so I'll let them introduce themselves and what you're involved in 4-H.
It just records, it doesn't have.
I'm Abe and I'm a show beef.
I am Greta Carrender, and I'm a part of the Horse Club, and I also show cattle along with arts and crafts.
I'm Wyatt Carrender. I shoot archery, show goats and cattle.
I'm Melanie Lesh. I show goats and I show hams.
Sorry.
I'm Soren Stapp.
We've got Soren from Stringtown, Corinth, and then Liam came up here from Morgan County with the Little Rascals Clover Kids Club. I'm with Stringtown, Corinth, and this is a future Clover kid here, Connor.
Thank you. If you'd want to come up here, we will read this and then we will present it to you.
Come on in here, Diane, you don't get out of this.
I'm a photographer.
We'll get you a copy.
These are project leaders too.
Yes.
They need to come.
Y'all are
too.
welcome to come up
Come on
here
in,
too.
lady.
Got your teachers here with you.
Yeah.
Uh.
Okay. We are proclaiming October 6th through 12th, 2019 as 4-H Week. Whereas the Cole County Commissioners are proud to honor the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Cole County Extension Service for providing experience-based education to youngsters throughout Cole County. 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, supporting nearly 6 million youth across the country thus far. And we got a whole bunch of whereases. Now, therefore, the Cole County Commission do hereby proclaim October 6th through 12th, 2019 as National 4-H Week throughout Cole County, Missouri. Encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact they have made and continue to make by empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for a lifetime. In witness, therefore, we sign this today.
Get in here, big guy.
Yeah.
Got your phone, don't know how to work it.
Give him a phone, we'll see here. Hey.
Okay, here, you get that. It matches your shirt.
We do have some of the Cole County Farm Family of the Year here too.
Yeah.
Andy and the kiddos, raise your hand. Congratulations on that. I don't know if everybody saw that. We recognize them for your contributions to Cole County and the 4-H, so thank you all.
We're good to see young future 4-Hers. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I get it.
But you are welcome to stay.
I wouldn't recommend it.
didn't even pull up
Needs some
the agenda
entertainment.
yet today, but it's how that look.
Yeah, but you know, when you get out of school it's always good. Okay. Bids and contracts. Bid award and signing of 2019-25 workers' comp insurance for county.
Okay. As you know, we did put the bid out for workers' comp. We had one agent, Wall Street, that supplied bids, and there were two bids, one from Travelers and one from the current MEM. We did do a tab comparison of the two. There was just a slight difference between the two, but the quote from Travelers was not a firm quote. They would have to come back in and reevaluate us and set the firm quote. So it was really kind of hard to compare that. But also MEM offers a safety grant program and a dividends program, and that we have participated in the last 5 years, both of those. So my recommendation is to stay with MEM, Missouri Employers Mutual. If you have any questions, we can try to answer your questions.
I feel like, go ahead. I feel like MEM is the better choice. Lots of unknowns with the other party. We've had lots of experience with MEM, and I think it's a fair quote, and they've done a good job with worksite wellness and some other things with the county, and so I concur with Debbie's recommendation.
I was gonna ask if you thought Travelers would change if we did go get one that they would be bound to, that would go up or down. I mean, they had some numbers and claims and stuff to pull from, right?
Right, yeah, they
So-
had all the data and didn't request any additional data, so, that I know of. I don't believe they ever requested anything.
Okay, well, I talked to you about it and went to the company that submitted the bids and talked to them about it too. I didn't know a whole lot about work comp and just trying to clear some stuff up too. And I think after talking to them that I was definitely leaning towards MEM as well, so I really don't have any questions on it.
Yeah, we have Travelers at the store, but I agree. I think MEM is probably.
So,
Are we looking just for an award today, or
Yeah,
a
if it-
contract, or?
Technically, there isn't really a contract with them other than a letter of intent, and then once they get that back, plus a little premium up pay, then they will send us the policy.
Okay.
So if you want to, definitely it was a bid, so I guess you need to award the bid to them and then sign the letter of intent.
Okay. I move that we award workers' comp to Missouri Employers Mutual and sign the letter of an intent.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of 2019 Bulletproof Vest Grant Award.
It's a grant we do every year. This grant pays half of our bulletproof vests whenever we apply for it. We're asking for 22 vests this year. It's about $17,000, and then they would refund us 50% of that.
So which half does it, is it the left side or
That's
the
the
right?
first half, sir.
I'm sorry, John.
So would this be for this year and
It's for next fiscal year.
next fiscal year? So do you have that in your capital line if you were to be awarded it?
Yes.
Okay. This is just the grant application?
Yes, I think it is.
Move that we approve the 2019 Bulletproof Vest. This says grant award.
I was gonna say, it says award on the agenda.
Oh.
What's it say
Then
on
it's an
there?
award. We do this every year, so.
So if it's an award, do we have the money in capital to give our match?
Yes.
Okay.
We, like I said, this has been an ongoing deal, so we always have it in our budget.
Is that accurate, or?
So that total amount's not in there
Well-
yet, because this
Well,
one
hold
just
on.
happened.
So it's, what do you mean by is it accurate? Are you saying I'm lying?
No, I'm just asking that you had that in the capital for this year or for next year?
Yeah, well, we put it in our budget every year to be able to replace the vets.
Right?
Like I said, and if nothing else, if it isn't in our capital, and it is not, we usually take it out of our law enforcement supplies, and then we also, if have to, we'll take it out of civil.
I guess, well, give me a bulletproof vest before I ask you any questions. I'm not calling you a liar. I think my question was, is it 19 or 20? Because it says 19 here, which I would say
Well,
is for
but
this year. and
sometimes,
that's the way I
sometimes when
understood
you're
this.
awarded, you don't have to necessarily spend it. You have 6 months to spend it or whatever. So, you know, if you ordered them today, you may not get them for 90 days or whatever.
So this
It's-
award is for 2020. We have to get approved now, and so it'll be for
Okay.
2020.
Okay, all right.
That's where my confusion was.
Yeah, that's what I was confused too. All right, I move that we approve the 2019 Bulletproof Vest Grant Award.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Get in there, Sam.
I want them to have vests. I figured
Oh, we did
one
too.
way or another, I want them to have
Well,
vests.
we do too. So
Yeah.
I just don't know where
Approval
the money's coming
to
from.
apply for GEMT and contract with professional service provider. Okay.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
What the GMT is GMT is a state program through the Department of Health and Human Services where we submit the Medicaid claims to them. They return, or they then submit them to the feds. The feds do a 50% match on those, and then they come back. The state takes 20% off, and then we get the remaining balance. So what that is a program to where we would have an outside agency or a consultant group do the initial legwork on it. The auditor and I talked about this, that we felt that this was the best move to go. We spoke with Taney County. They currently been in it for about 1.5 years, 2 years now. They've gotten $210,000 in additional reimbursement from that program for them. Now their payer mix is slightly different than ours. They have more Medicaid patients than we do that are transported. So I think we'll get anywhere between $150,000 and $175,000 based on our payer mix in additional revenue by applying through this grant. This has been out for about 2 years now that the state legislature approved. So we'd like to go ahead and get the consultants working on this. There's a deadline, so we have to have everything, including charts of account, broken down and submitted to the state so they can then turn around and submit it to the federal aspect to get reimbursed for those.
Any cost to us, sir?
So the consultants will cost us $11,500, and then they take 3% of any additional funds that is recovered. So, you know, if it was $100,000, they would get an extra $3,000 in reimbursement on that. So it's tied to the reimbursement, other than the initial $11,500 for the doing all the charts of accounts and breaking everything down. The way those have to work is we have to take the time and say every dollar has to be allocated to direct care, indirect care, operations. So it's a pretty lengthy process. The consultants that we're recommending that we go with are the ones that actually wrote the law and had the state approve it. So they're the ones that are very familiar with the requirements of that program. After they do it the first year or second year, if we find that, you know, we no longer need their assistance in this, then we can, you know, terminate the contract with them.
Guys got questions? $11,500 plus 3% for the first year. this go into effect next year, or?
So that would be this year, and then the 11,500. The following year, if we have them do it, I believe it drops down to 9,000, so it drops after the initial year.
It says 11.5 plus 3% for the first year, 7,500 plus 3% for the second and subsequent years
That's even better than I thought it was.
for a 3-year term.
But if it's gonna bring in more money, then it more than pays for that, so.
And to be honest, Krista and I had talked about it, neither one of us have the bandwidth to be able to do that in the short time frame that we would have to try to submit for it this year. So we felt that this was the best way to go about trying to realize that money for next year, otherwise we'd be waiting another year. Because you have to go January to January on it. So if we don't get it submitted by, December, then we would have to wait another year to apply.
You guys good?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep an eye on it, and make sure we are actually increasing the revenue or recognizing more income from it, so.
Matt'll keep us informed.
You bet he will. Sorry, a little extra coffee this morning.
So is this the agreement with,
That's the agreement with
The
the
consultant?
consultants. That's correct, that's the
Okay.
consultant, so under professional services, they're a consultant in accounting.
and then they'll help us apply for the GEMT?
Correct, so what they'll
grant?
do is they'll fill out everything, they'll go through all the charts of accounts, do all of that legwork, they'll submit it to us for our approval, and then we'll submit it to the state.
Okay. I move that we sign the professional service agreement with AP Triton Consulting LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have to initial the pages too.
Okay. Extension to current health care contract for the sheriff.
This is the contract that we have right now for that one inmate. So we need to extend at least one more month until we get the final on our bids from the
Okay.
Yep.
medical services.
I move that we sign the agreement for services with Advantage Nursing Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approving contract amendment for maternal child health contract.
Good morning. This is a extension of our current contract that we have with DHS for the maternal child health contract for one more year. I think the amount changed just a little bit, but not much.
Okay. Okay. I move that we sign the contract for maternal child health services with Missouri DHSS.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of 2019 CP30 generator relocation from Old Health Department to Pringer
Sorry,
Family
we'll go
Center.
back.
Oh, I missed the.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, yeah, we'll go back to.
This is just the contract for the, moving the generator from the old health department to the Pringer. That was approved last week.
Okay. Do we have a contract for the courthouse site improvements?
I haven't seen it from.
Okay, we need to get that done today.
Still waiting out from the vendor. From the architects.
From who?
The architects.
Yeah.
I got an email from CPS wanting a draft of our standard contract for us.
Okay.
This morning.
All right. This was with Meyer or
Snyder.
Schneider? Oh, Schneider, okay. I move that we sign the contract for the generator relocation from Old Health Department to the Pringer Family Center with Schneider Electric.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, sorry about that.
Overloading you here.
Yeah. Now we will go back to approval and sign the state Narcan grant. Sorry about that.
Gentlemen, pull that out. What this program is the Missouri Department of Health and Human Services has secured a grant for Narcan to be supplied to individuals that have overdosed previously, or to their family members or members of the community that are directly impacted or in the same area as the individuals that have previously overdosed. Well, I understand that the issue, people have opinions on both sides of the fact of, the whole opiate epidemic. But in our agency, we don't do that. We're here to treat and help. And so what this does is this is going to give us, I believe, 350 doses of Narcan and the kits associated with them to leave with families or patients who have previously overdosed. There's no cost to us in that from the state. It's basically a 2-year program currently that we're asking to be a part of.
There's a lot of entities that are doing that now, giving it out. Joe had a point. I don't know if we need to check with Rick.
I'm just, Christie's Milk Depot, St. Luke's had certain insurance requirements, so I checked with Rick, and then he wanted to see a copy of the agreement, and he wanted certain other protocols in place as far as for our insurance, which Christie already had, because St. Luke's provided those. My only question on this, it's like DHSS is dumping it on EMS, and you have to figure out what to tell the patients and all of that.
So what we'll do is once this is approved, we'll work with Dr. Lee, our medical director, to come up with what we do, the training that we'll provide our staff, and then also the protocols in which we'll leave these kids and under what circumstances those will happen. So that'll go through our medical director to make sure that, we're meeting his intent on that as well.
So what happens when it expires? Do we go pick it up? Who keeps track of where it goes? What else they use it for? I just got too many questions about it. I understand the intent of it, but I don't think that it's us that should be doing it. If we treat somebody for it, we can give them a card and say, here, go to DHSS and get you a free kit you can keep on hand. I don't think we should be the middleman on it. I'm on the fence. I'd appreciate if I had a family member that had to overdose, that it could save their life, but I'm just not sure it's our place. I think DHSS should take care of it or somebody else, so.
I think the reason why they've pushed it out to EMS statewide is because they just don't have the staff to be able to do that, and we're the first line, or the first responders that are seeing these individuals at that moment when they are overdosing. We do have individuals that will, get Narcan and then refuse treatment, and then later on overdose again. And I think that's why they've pushed it to EMS, is because we're the ones generally seeing them in that acute stage. I don't disagree that, there are other alternative ways to potentially.
I don't even want to talk about it very much because it probably just doesn't look good saying no to something like this. But essentially, you're saying, look, you didn't quite kill yourself this time. We're going to leave you something here in case you do kill yourself next time. Give yourself a shot, save yourself. I don't know. I think you're just telling them go ahead and do another overdose too. So.
Well, I think they're
Well.
going to.
So obviously, if you have a child or something that's popping pills or whatever, or, I think that's a different situation where, you leave it with the parent. Obviously the responsible party isn't necessarily, they're not conscious of what they're trying to do, and so, but, I don't know if we could.
So we have some at the health department that DHSS has contracted with us to provide, but it's to law enforcement agencies and first responders. They have to go through a specific training with DHSS, and then the DHSS sends it to us. We're basically like a depot, a receiving agency. Most of the county health departments are, because DHSS doesn't have offices in every county. So they'll ship it to us. She lets me know that like Sheriff Wheeler's office is gonna come get it, and they come and get it, and they leave a few extra doses with us. When it expires, we ship it back to her.
And part of the training he's gonna go through, and he knows this already, but it's gonna be, tracking the lots and the expiration, so they know when to pull them off the trucks. So that's, I don't think that's the big issue there.
So
I'm not talking about the ones on the trucks, I'm talking about the ones you hand out. You gotta go pick them back up when they're expired then, or do we've gotta have them sign it that says they're gonna come back and give it back to us? I just-
Generally, the way that my understanding is working with other agencies is they just sign a piece of paper saying that they're taking control of that, and at that point, it's theirs, and.
That doesn't sound good at all to me, I'm sorry.
I
That sounds
understand.
like trouble just in the brewing, so.
Well,
I don't know if, I mean, you said something about having Jill look it over some more and
If
stuff, so.
would, Jeff, I'd like to run it past Rick, just to make sure that we're covered for whatever scenarios. I can just see somebody blaming EMS for not giving them proper instructions on the use and filing a lawsuit. But, you know, that's my job to look at every scenario, even if it's unlikely. But,
So-
I mean, I don't think it would hurt.
So how many kits are you given at the health department to give out to law enforcement?
It kind of depends. I mean, sometimes it's just a small, you know, it's however they request, like the Highway Patrol got, you know, a big box, you know, it depends. And we have some up in the cabinet, I don't know, probably 60 units, which has 2 doses in each box. It's a nasal spray.
So I mean, when those run out, are they just, do they not have them, or can they get more, or?
They can get more through DHSS. So like Sheriff Wheeler, if like they had someone use a dose, so he came and, you know, we gave him another one, and then if he needed a whole new shipment, he would contact DHSS and they would ship to us, and then he could come get it from us. We're just kind of a distribution place.
My point on this, what Chrissy's handing out is for the agencies to
Mhm.
use. So John's people are administering that. What EMS would be doing is handing it out to the patients for the patients to use it themselves. So it's kind of a different situation.
Well, the patient wouldn't be giving it to themselves, it would be a family member or a friend, because once you're an
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a trained
Right, it's not a
member of
trained
law
person.
enforcement or
Right.
first responder.
Right.
But I mean, is it just a nasal spray?
It's a nasal spray, that's correct.
So I mean, it doesn't, I can't imagine you need too much training to do that. Yes, no?
Done.
Just shoot it up her nose?
Just
and-
like Afrin.
Yeah.
And they said if someone's having if they're not having an overdose, like you just think they're in a seizure, if you administer it, it doesn't hurt them.
why don't we table this and have you check with Rick, but you know, it's nice to think that after somebody ODs once, they're gonna say, you know, I never wanna do this again, but I don't think that's the case. I think if you're addicted, you're gonna, so, I mean, it might be we're just, you know, we're saving their life, they're gonna do it again the same week. I don't know, but, check with our insurance, but I don't think it's a bad,
Do the first responders and stuff in the county, do they carry that as well?
Some of them
I don't know
do.
the
I don't know if
Some
the
of them
first
do.
responders do. I mean, I know the sheriff's department does, and
Some of them do
I
now.
don't even know if JCPD,
So I mean, to me, it sounds like
I didn't think so.
it's not going to the person that's actually overdosing, it's going to someone in the community that could administer that, or someone in the
So it would be
family that
issued
would.
to either the family or the person that actually overdosed. And then, obviously, the patient wouldn't administer it to themselves. It would be someone nearby that would, you know, have access to that kit to be able to give it to them.
No, he's,
So it could be a neighbor, it could be.
Correct.
So it could be a community member in that area.
Well, so the idea of when issuing it, though, is specific in the language in there, is that it has to be someone a family member of the patient or someone responsible for their care. Now, a neighbor could come by and get the kit if they knew that, you know, the person was overdosing, and then administer the medication at that point.
I mean, I'm good with tabling it for a week and checking it out. I mean, I mean, if it's not harmful, if somebody gives it to somebody, I mean, I think the odds are pretty low that we would have an issue, but obviously if Dr. Ludi was good with, you know, some language and some instructions, I think it would be a good thing to have, and it could save some people's lives. Obviously, that's why the law enforcement's carrying it. I mean, so, because they're on scene first, but, I mean, if first responders and stuff are responding to those things in the county, I mean, I would definitely like to see those people have that as well. So, I mean, I'd still like to look at it, and so if we want to table it for a week, bring it back next week.
Yeah, that's-
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any unfinished business? Okay, new business.
So we just need to get that, I guess we need to get that courthouse side improvements thing would be the only unfinished business, that contract for that. And so obviously, hopefully we can get that worked up. We may need to see what comes out of that construction meeting, but they may be wanting to start. So,
Good.
Yep.
but they kind of need a contract to get started.
Our word's not good enough? Never mind.
Sit down at the table and you don't get up until it's done. Get all the parties there.
That's fine, but possible to, we got a meeting tomorrow. We could possibly do it tomorrow.
Mhm, yeah.
Think we can get it done by then?
I texted them.
Okay.
I should add it now if we're gonna do it.
I'd say we ought to add it.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it on there tentatively for 10 o'clock.
Yep. It's on you.
I'll put it back on CMPS. Put it on a beer napkin. All right.
Okay, well, I was gonna move forward with accounts payable review, but Debbie.
We do have accounts payable, Kristen?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there may be.
I move that we approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have something else, sir?
We did have one bill on accounts payable this time. It's for you guys approved for EMS and the health department, the 360 software that Brian got for them. The health department did pay for their part out of one of their line items, I don't know, grants or whatnot. But we did have the EMS portion, and I didn't know if your intent was the county's sales tax to pay for that or EMS's sales tax to pay for that. And so we had the bill in there, so I just needed to know what account that we need to take that out of. I mean, if it comes out of EMS, right now we have to transfer money because their capital is down to little. So,
In next year's budget, it's in professional,
It's- yeah.
equipment service contracts, because it'll be an annual license.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to take it out of there this year already, so that the history is the same, but that would be coming out of the 660 budget.
660, okay, instead of 650. So it'd be an equipment service contract. And then from then on, it'd be in the same place going forward.
How much are we talking? This was for Microsoft 360?
Yes. It is $8,636.64. It's their portion, and the health department had part of this, so. Still would be a transfer.
Just trying to remember why we went this route. I mean, there was something, I remember you telling us something, but,
It had to do with the security section of it.
okay. I think we should just take it out where it's gonna be ongoing. And if we need to if we need to transfer money, then we just need to do that.
Yeah,
so.
well, there will be one. Okay.
You guys good with
Yeah,
that?
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Second and final reading of budget adjustment number 18.
Okay, this does need action today. It's for $3,930.69. This is the sheriff's department, and it was, pretty sure, a vehicle that we had insurance money proceeds to pay for the vehicle to get fixed. Approval.
You guys good?
Yeah.
I'm
I
good.
move that we sign court order number 18.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Signing of MAC award application letter, and I have this nice letter here.
You have it?
Yes.
Did you have any comments on the application that I sent you? And then I printed out some pictures to show as an example of the services that we're doing, with the partnerships and the, like the brochures and the flyers that we use, our ribbon cutting, just trying to use examples.
Yeah, some of them came through on the email.
Right,
Some of
I
them didn't
added
download.
captions, and then like the flyers I had to print, I didn't have
Oh,
them
okay.
electronic.
Are we in any of them?
Yes.
There you go, Debbie.
See, coffee affects Jeff one way, affects me another way, so.
You sure that's coffee?
Yeah, today it is.
I move that we sign the support application for the health department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discussion for jail staff being on call.
This is something that I've talked to all three of you about. We've had some issues with our current staff shortage. We want to be able to compensate individuals when they're on call. It's not a matter of the difference between the corrections and the detectives right now, for instance, is the detectives might get called out, the corrections will get called out. And by putting them on call, then we're actually paying for them to stay in town, to do certain things with their family, that kind of thing. My proposal is an hour a day for a week, so it'd be 7 hours of straight time. I've talked to Debbie about this. We think we can make it work on the BSNA software. So I don't think it'd be an issue there.
So, just some comments. I'm not necessarily opposed to some type of a stipend or some type of additional pay to do that. I just think there needs to be further discussion so that we have everybody that's on call or whatever, everybody's kind of treated the same. And so I know that works well maybe for your department, but, you know, one of the other things, as I talk through some of that, if it's an hourly rate, you know, a person could, if they were on vacation or something, or took sick leave or whatever in that same week, they could have 50 some odd hours of regular time before they ever get to overtime with our payroll system, just because they have to work actually 40 hours before they get to overtime, correct?
Most of them. They're a little different. They're 80 and 2.
Right, but so that could even be more complicated in your scenario then. So if I was on vacation the first week of the pay period, and then the second week I was on call, I'd have to work 80 hours in the second week. So I'd have to work 120 hours before I'd ever get to overtime.
Well, you can change that. You did that for us on the Russellville overtime grant. You did that for it on the highway funds grant. On the same token, because I didn't have any staff members signing up for those overtime, because if they were sick the first week, they wouldn't get overtime. So you guys passed an order saying that if you work in those particular grants, then it's automatic overtime because we get reimbursed for that. So we've already set precedents on being able to do this. I understand what you're saying, Chris, I'm trying to be straight across the board. The problem
Right.
is, you can't compare all of us. And I'll just talk about the two elephants in the room, and that's me and Matt, you still back there? Yeah. Me and Dennis. I didn't want to point back to an empty chair. But you can't compare Matt and I's organization because we do completely different things. Our staffing is completely different. I mean, so it would be hard, it would be very hard pressed for you to compare an overtime or an on-call schedule or anything like that and try to be straight across the board. I just don't think it's possible. Now, if you want to go into further discussion on this, I'm good with that, because I think we still need to discuss holiday time in great detail before fiscal year 2020, because we always run into a problem at the end of the year. But what I'll ask for you is, let's go ahead and implement my on-call schedule at least to the end of the year, so that way we can go ahead and press forward with what I have now, and then we can have the discussion and talk about how we can be fair across the board with juvenile, health department, public works, however you want to do it. I'm good with that. But right now, I need to be able to compensate my staff whenever they come in, or I'm telling them they have to stay home this whole week.
How many jailers are you down right now?
We're down 14 in the jail right now. So, and that's, I mean, we were down, if you remember, we were down 19. And we went up to 14. We were lower than that, and I had one other one to leave. So, well, it doesn't matter, but they're leaving, so. So we're moving in the right direction. It just takes time to do the selection process, to make sure we're getting the people that we want to get. So it's just an ongoing, and it's not just me. I mean, this is, every time the Sheriff's Association gets together, we talk about the issues we have in the jail and for deputies.
I don't know, we kind of talked about it too, and trying to brainstorm, come up with some different ideas, and I know John's been, reaching out to us, because sometimes you can come up with some ideas when you're on the outside looking in, and I don't have any other resolutions. I mentioned flex time, that doesn't work either, because if you give them flex time, they're just gonna take off the next week, and then you don't have people to fill those positions either, so
If we can give them off, and that's the problem. I mean, with detectives, I can do that. I can give them a day off, or, during that
Yeah.
week sometime, I can give them a day off. But with detention, there's just no way to give them the time off. We're 12-hour shifts now, because part of the issue we have is the 12-hour shifts is hard on our employees. So we need to go back to a 10-hour shift, but we can't go back to 10-hour shift until we get more people. So it's a vicious circle right now.
I didn't have any other ideas, and I
No,
know in the service world, if you take home the pager for the weekend and you're expected to work the weekend, usually got compensated something, so.
Yeah, I don't
You
just-
mentioned a fixed price or
Yeah.
a stipend. Maybe
Yeah,
a
I don't
flat
have
rate.
I don't have the magic ball. I mean, obviously, I don't disagree. I think they should be compensated something, but I also think that,
We should be fair across the board.
yeah. But at the same time, if I'm on call that week and I've already worked 40 hours in the week in that pay period, and I have the pager and I have to come in for 8 or 10 hours or 20 hours or whatever, I mean, I should be compensated at an overtime rate for all those hours. Well, the problem there is that you're on an 80-hour, 2-week cycle. And so now we're, to be fair, that's fair, right? I mean, you're working overtime in the week, so you should get.
We do that right now. That's why our overtime is so, that's why we keep transferring money.
But I think from an accounts, or from a payroll, that's hard to know, where did you work those hours? And I mean, sometimes, does our payroll go Sunday to Saturday? So, I mean, sometimes that gets kind of tricky too, so.
Oh, and I think if we work together and come up with a code, when I say work together, I mean Debbie. But if we work with Debbie on the BSNA, I mean, her and I had a conversation, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she thinks that she thinks we could make it work if we code it right. And I think that's the big deal, is we're going to have to code it right. So, and it's not unusual to have these different codes, and it is time sheets, especially for law enforcement for EMS, they're complicated, I don't think is a strong enough word, but we need to, we need to do what's right. And again, I agree, you wanna have conversations about this, I'll be happy to sit at the table, we can all sit around and talk about it. But until we do that, I would ask that you go ahead and allow us to do this 7 hours per person, so that way we can move forward with and compensate them for, because one of the issues we have is when we try to call them back, they're not in town. They're at a family's house, or they're at a Mizzou game, or, whatever reason. So I want to be able to compensate them for their action.
Have we talked to our HR consultant, and have we worked on possibly some sort of policy in writing, what happens if a holiday falls in there, what happens if they're on vacation for a week, just kind of some of the scenarios of how it gets applied?
And I think we could come up with that. I think that's an easy, you're talking about 4 bullet statements. I don't think that's gonna be an issue. And again, I don't mind talking with our HR person, but as soon as you say, talk with our HR person, you just added at least 2 months to this little project. So, again, I agree with talking to the HR project, I agree with sitting down and talking, but right now, I need those 7 hours. And I have it in my salary, so it's my salary line. So for the end of this year, it's revenue neutral for me.
I wouldn't think if somebody was on vacation, you wouldn't have them on
If they're on
call.
vacation, they're not gonna be on call.
No, they're not gonna be on call.
Well, they could be the next week. So that's where,
You can always pay overtime.
Right.
It's just under the FLSA, you have to under certain circumstances.
Compensate.
But you can be more generous.
I'd just be a lot more comfortable with a flat fee. And I know you're saying 7 hours, and that 7 hours is different for everybody else, but let's just come up with a number this is a the on-call fee, and that's what you get when you're on call.
So, and again, it opens up a different discussion, but let's just say you do a stipend. So how do you pay the stipend? I think it's gonna complicate more things if you try to do a stipend, rather than if you have a code on the timesheet that just says 7 hours on call, versus a stipend, because then you're passing it around, because you can't pay everybody a stipend, because if you're paying everybody a stipend, then you're paying everybody to be on call, and nobody can go anywhere.
Well, when you submit the timesheet and you're writing 7 hours on call, why can't you just put on call and it's a flat fee? It's the same, isn't it?
I did go through the HR consultant. I did find out, waiting to engage to work. There's different scenarios, and I did talk to her about it. I talked about the actual hourly wage, and she did agree that would work better. Now, I didn't specifically say anything about a stipend, a flat dollar amount. So I would feel more comfortable. If you're leaning towards that, I need to talk with them again, because it does create different, because he's talking about having 2 people on call each week, a higher level, a deputy, or a sergeant.
Anywhere from a jailer up to a sergeant.
Right, so one of each at one point. So, there is a great deal of difference between their pay from one to another. So anything we do up and above is probably, okay, as long as we do the basic. But I would hesitate to think that maybe those deputies don't want to get paid the same as what a correction officer is getting to be on call.
I think you're being fair with because usually when you get to the higher ranks, you're talking about more experience, different certifications, longer with the department. So I think it would be fair. I think it would be more fair.
More fair. But I'd rather go back to them and talk with them again.
Well, you just need this right now.
Oh.
Is basically what it comes down to
Yes, I would
you
like
need
to-
it now.
I would like to move on this as soon as possible, because I was gonna bring this to you on October 6th, and I was not ready to do it then. We were gonna enter it today, and we were gonna bring it to you last week, but there was too much going on, so I didn't get a chance to talk to the 3 of you, so.
What do you guys want to do?
I think you're asking right now, basic till the end of the year, and then we'll come up with something. I think we need to do it.
I would like to have the policies in place too before we.
well, you and I can sit down and Kristen can sit down and come up with, like I said, you're talking about 4 bullet statements.
I'm not ready to, I mean, I'm not gonna create a policy. I mean, if this is a temporary fix, I mean, I'm okay with that, but it's not a policy fix, cause we haven't made it a policy for the whole county.
We will have, I mean, we don't do anything without best practice or policy or procedure in place, so we will have a best practices procedure in place. I mean, that's just the way we operate. So,
You don't have to
I
know
mean,
to
it
pay.
may not be something you guys have to approve right now, but I can definitely show it to you and let you see what we're doing. But again, this is only till the end of the year.
That would,
Until you
that
get
would
them.
expire on December 31st of 19.
Well, or if we come up with a better solution between now and then, I'm willing to look at that. But like I said, we just need to move forward. Because I want to implement today.
Beginning of a pay period, please.
All right,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Sunday through Saturday.
But we can implement on Sunday then, that's fine. But we can even talk about that, Debbie, I'm good with that.
Deep thought.
I don't have any other solutions. I'm fine with trying it till the end of the year.
Yeah,
Just
I-
let's try it, see how it helps. I have nothing for you.
To have anything shiny.
You can bring a squirrel, that's what you need to do. We need a squirrel in there. No, I'm fine with doing it till the end of the year. Let's try it, see if that helps, if anything. Because if you start calling me and I'm not getting any kind of compensation for it, my phone just wasn't working, fell in the lake.
Yeah.
He's been drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't do that.
All right, I move that we approve the on-call pay of 7 hours for the sheriff's department through December 31st of 19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We'll keep right on going, replacing cameras in interview rooms.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I know you guys remember this, this has been an ongoing issue since we opened the jail, we've had issues in our interview rooms. I even found, I was purging some of my documents, and I found an email from 2012 when we first started having issues with it. So this is not an issue that just popped up. We worked with several different entities. When Brian came in, I had him come in, and we tried a couple things there, and we're just ready to replace the system. We do have a bid, but it's from someone that's got a state cooperative agreement. However, we would have to look at the equipment to make sure that's also part of this, and if it's not, then we would have to either do sole source for the equipment or bid the whole thing out. But this could, because of the evidentiary videos that we'll be making, it's gonna be an expensive fix. It's probably gonna be $30,000.
Bless you.
But right now, we can't use our interview rooms. How is it working again? Is it down still?
It is off and on.
Yeah.
And when it is working, part of the problem is one of the interview rooms is moving over audio to a different room. I mean, that's been one of the problems that we've had. Like you said, we've had vendors over the years, the vendors that actually maintain the service, you know, the cameras, Bruce Alexander's, and then actually stole, of course, their points near each other, and long story short, we haven't got any resolution out of that.
So it's audio and visual?
Both, yes.
And then is there a master control room where you have access to all that, or,
It comes into the detective's office.
but there's no master control where they have visual of the rooms?
Master control can't view.
No.
Can't view the detectives' interview rooms. They can view the ones down in the jail, but we haven't had any issues. No, for one. We haven't had any issues with those two interview rooms down there.
So this is something, if it's not working, it could affect a trial or.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So It's not properly recording any of the interviews that we're doing.
The unit's given trouble is off of patrol there in the comm room, and it's completely separate from the rest of the DVR units, and that's why I think it's specific to the interview rooms.
Well, we talked about this too, Sheriff and I, and speaking of that, I need a new cell phone number. But
I'll find out what it
I
is.
said, this has been going on for a while too, and we were trying to remember exactly, and he said, yeah, when Brian came aboard, he came across and tried to fix it and thought maybe it was just in the DVR, or maybe something was plugged in backwards, or, something simple, but to no avail. Obviously, we have limited resources, and John said we'd have to take this out of contingency.
Yes.
So, I think we have to get it fixed. So, where we get the money from, I think we need to figure that out. If we just didn't give him a loan to next year,
He's got $8 million in contingency.
so. That should cover it.
Not that we're gonna spend that, but.
Oh.
anyway.
I just think you're gonna do a disservice to the people of the county, because your prosecutor won't be able to prosecute. And
That's what-
It's gonna cause a lot of problems, so.
That's what scares me.
I don't know, I just hate that it didn't work from the get-go. It's been a problem since we got it in there. and-
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with replacing it. I think we need to, I'll talk to you about it later, but I think maybe I got some ideas. Decrease the cost, but maybe or not work. So I move that we move forward with the cameras, replacing the cameras in the interview rooms.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Get it ready for bid then.
yeah. Change order approval, Railroad Spur Extension Project number 2016-701-1.
Finally, the easy stuff.
This was a late ad, so I didn't include any documents for you to look at ahead of time, but it's pretty straightforward, and I had sent some things previously. There's 3 items to be added to the Railroad Spur project. Item 1 is additional drainage work at Morris Packaging Building for a lump sum price of $12,622. Item 2 is geotextile fabric for subgrade stabilization, lump sum price of $1,122.90. And then a third item is 200 units of cross tie replacement at a unit price of $215 each for a total of $43,000. Grand total of all 3 items is $56,744.90. Discussion on these, the first 2 are really related to some drainage issues near the 2 buildings. One was some additional work we had to do at Morris to get things to drain properly. What was there really wasn't gonna work. And then the second one was water setting there near the Alpla building. So we had to do subgrade stabilization work there. This change order is just the geotextile fabric, which we didn't have a bid item for. The other items will just overrun the excavation and rock fill that we did have in the contract. And Alpla they will pay half of this price because it's right where they're extending their siding. And then the cross tie replacement, that is an item that we asked Rail Works to give us an estimate of how many ties would need to be replaced on the existing tracks, not the new one we're building now, but the existing, to bring everything up to a good condition. We felt it was a good time to have the work done while they're mobilized in town and able to get the work done. So that is an estimate of the number of ties. It could be more, it could be less, just based on their visual inspection. So grand total, like I said, $56,744.90, and I would recommend approval of this change order. Any questions?
So obviously Alpla's fixing some of the areas next to them. But what about Morris? I mean, some of that subgrade, that's not their responsibility to fix some of that, or?
Well, the way the agreement is written is we are doing the tracks, not only ours, but the siding to them as well. So, and the way the drainage was set up, it was intended that it would just seep drain across. Long story on that, but that's how it was existing, and we thought that would work fine, but it wasn't. There was 3 areas where it was staying wet all the time, and so we just determined the best thing to do is just to get that underground and add some additional drains to capture whatever other water is there. price-wise, it did add to the cost, but given what we got in return, I think it was a good value, so.
So, I mean, I'm good with all that. Where are we at with the crossing, or is that gonna come up at a different time?
Yes, the crossing, as I alluded to in my email previously, the city at this time wishes not to be a partner on the overall rail, okay? But they still want to move forward with the crossing. It would probably be in everybody's best interest if we just tack that onto our project, do it as a change order. The city will pay 100% of that crossing replacement. I got to work on a supplemental agreement to the cooperative project agreement, in which we add that they will pay whatever additional cost that is. So I think I can bring that to you next week, and then it's just a matter of figuring out what that cost is. I would like to have everything done and approved before they start work, ideally next week. But the city is looking at making maybe a few tweaks to the original estimate on that to try to lower the cost, get it down as low as they can. So they're still working on what a final estimated cost would be. And that work would take place, I would assume, would be within the next month or so, depending on scheduling and everything. It does require a closure of Militia Drive to do it, which leads to detours and things like that, so it's a little bit of scheduling and trying to figure out what the best time is. It's more expensive to do it over the weekend, to bring in a crew, to pay overtime, but that might be the time with less traffic.
So how long will that close down, Militia?
2 days, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think at least 2 days just to do the crossing, and then there's some staged work to do to put the pavement back. And it's not a real easy location to do it, just with the crossing, and there's a median strip in there too. So it's a little challenging to get it in quickly enough to be able to get traffic back on it. But that's really the city's issue to figure out. We would just be a partner in the contract, let them tack onto ours. So.
Yeah, like I responded in the email, I mean, I'm good with allowing them to do that. I just, I know that company's gonna be in town and they're gonna wanna get it done, and so, obviously we can act on our end of getting the contract signed and a supplemental agreement signed, but, I don't know how quickly they can get it done. And so I just wanna make sure that we have something signed and in place before they're given the go-ahead.
I think we can at least get the agreement done next week for sure. And we can write that to where it's whatever the actual cost of the work is. That's just what the city reimburses us.
Right.
So I think that's doable.
Yeah, won't they have to get council approval on all that, though?
And that drags on.
That was my concern.
Yeah, so that's why.
6 weeks?
The sooner we can get it done, maybe the quicker it goes on their end, but yeah, it's not as easy on their end to get things.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Oh.
Fine with it.
I move that we approve and sign the change order for the railroad spur extension.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I will add that Railworks has been very good to work with.
Good.
So, new company to
I'll
us,
sign it.
they're out of St. Louis area, but they've been super to work with.
Good.
Okay. And anything else before we go into closed session? I met Bill, the FEMA, the big dog from Virginia Saturday, who's here working on the flooding the river and stuff. So, so FEMA's around, I
We
guess.
have our meeting at
1:30.
1:30 today.
If you
Yeah.
guys want to sit in, it's right here. Our first meeting,
Okay.
conference call.
I just want to draft some kind of ordinance for county buildings that you cannot have nearly a life-size man around the corner that talks to you before you get the lights on. because I had to change shorts this morning. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
And I didn't want to share that with you before the meeting because I need to get more of a kick out of it now, but I came around that corner and turned towards my office, and I lit up the place because I turned white as a ghost. Scared the crap out of me.
See, if you would've hit it and knocked its head off of it, then we wouldn't have that problem.
I just wasn't ready for that this morning.
Well, you know, it could be a floating, like a trophy. We could take it down to the collectors, and we could take it out to the health department, and
If they had a little black snake on the floor.
I'm telling you, I don't know if I jumped in more with snakes. Just thinking about it, walk around that corner and pretend it's like semi-dark and all you seen is a body there. It's got, looks kind of like Ed Williams. I mean, I thought maybe you got that made for him.
Goodness.
I did. He's got the same hair and stuff.
So call him Ed.
I told him I did. I
We'll
thought
call
Ed
him
was here
Ed.
waiting for me. Who's the other guy running for president? Kind of looks like him too. Bernie. I saw Ernie and Ed look the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a. I guess it could be a compliment. Depends on if he likes Bernie or not, I guess. I'll call it Bernie, that way I don't make anybody.
Oh, goodness.
Do we have anything else?
I move we go into closed session pursuant to section 610.021, the revised statutes of Missouri for responses to bids and negotiated contracts, sub 12.
Second.
Roll call?
Sam?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Does she need a copy of this first?
Oh,
Well, I'd say
I don't
give
have
them a
this on
copy
yet.
if she wants a
Okay.
copy.